Well, thank you all again for coming out tonight. I'd like to, before I begin a brief talk, recognize our incoming chair, Mr. Fred Wax. Mr. Fred Wax, please stand. And we have a number of FSWC board members, governors, and senators. Thank you all for coming, for being here, and again to Rabbi May for flying in from Los Angeles. We appreciate it very much. We're equally honored to have the former Minister of Justice here with us. The internationally human rights defender, Erwin Kotler, is here with us today as well. You know, it's been a difficult week for the people of Israel. Over 450 rockets were launched from Gaza at innocent civilians. So I want to just take a moment and reflect on that and dedicate this evening to them. Our hearts and our minds are with them tonight, and we stand in support of Israel and its people. It's good to see you all here tonight in this beautiful shul, a place with lots of community memories. It was a great pleasure, I have to tell you, for us, the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center, to work with Beth Tikva's synagogue team. They made tonight's event successful, and we deeply thank them. So I remember being here in this room as a teenager when Yitzhak Shamir came to town. And much has changed. I was thinking about this. Much has changed since 1986, when our place in Canada as a Jewish community was secure. Growing up in this city, I never ever experienced anti-Semitism. But things are different now. A student at York University was attacked last month. She set up a table in Very Hall to promote Israel. She hung an Israeli flag. She placed pamphlets on the table. Soon enough, a mob of pro-Palestinian students swarmed her, yelled and cursed at her, calling her a Nazi, a killer, and chanting Intifada. When a student saw another student spit at this young Jewish girl, called security. In the end, the university tried to blame this Jewish student for being provocative. Yeah, until we came in and launched a campaign to intervene. And in fact, the Student Federation rejected her application to form a student club. We put pressure on the university once again. We filed a request for freedom of information. What do you know? A couple days later, her club gets accepted. A rabbi who runs a Chabad center in the York region reached out to us. A strange man had been repeatedly prowling outside his home, refusing to leave. The man had vandalized the rabbi's sukkah, and he put pictures of Adolf Hitler on the synagogue's webpage. The rabbi, who lives with his wife and 2 young children, as you might expect, was alarmed. He asked for our help. We reached out to our friends at York Region Police, and we demanded safety for the rabbi and his family. 24 hours later, the police had laid charges against the perpetrator. And having just returned from our Compassion to Action journey to Auschwitz and to Israel, and seeing the rising tide of anti-Semitism here at home. Red Deer Mayor Tara Veer is doing something about it. She issued an official proclamation in honor of our annual Freedom Day event, commemorating the legacy of Simon Wiesenthal. And in 2020, as a result of her efforts, we plan on expanding this initiative, making Freedom Day a national holiday across Canada. And so I have to tell you what a fitting, given all of this evening is. An evening with Maccabim of our day, Natan Sharansky and Alan Dershowitz. An evening with Counselor Kirby Young, whom you will meet very shortly. They are here because we have very serious issues to discuss tonight, don't we? Most days it feels like the world is imploding. Shootings, cemeteries vandalized, Holocaust survivor needing protection, boycotts against us, hateful anti-Semitic voices from the streets of Paris, to the halls of the United Nations, to the university campuses, right here in Toronto, voices that tell us we brought all of this hatred on ourselves, that we are the problem, that we need to shut up and accept this as the new normal. Well, we Jews, we have some experience with voices like this. We know that it is hate that is the problem, not us. We will not shut up. And we will never, ever accept that anti-Semitism is the new normal. We should be hard-pressed to present to you today two people who better embody our collective spirit of resistance than Natan and Alan. It is such an honor to have these two inspiring people with us tonight. Over the past 5 years, hate crimes against Jews have almost doubled. The Jewish community remains the most frequently targeted group when it comes to hate crime. We are just 1% of the population, a tiny minority. That's a lot of hate directed at us, directed right at our very small community. But we don't turn a blind eye. We don't look away. We call that hate out for what it is, and we fight back. In September, we blocked a BDS promoting anti-Semitic group from bringing a member, if you can believe, of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine to speak at the University of Toronto. The PFLP is responsible for terrorist attacks, stabbings, bombings, plane hijackings. It was this group, actually, that killed 17-year-old Rina Shnerb in Israel last summer while on a hike with her family. And who can recall a federal election fraught with so much vile hatred towards the Jewish community? Swastikas from coast to coast on campaign signs. Worse, a number of incidents whereby candidates were found to have made anti-Semitic comments. In one such case that I want to tell you about, we exposed a Green Party candidate who called Israel a serial rapist, in quotes, and said Jews need, in quotes, mental help and should, again, in quotes, get over the Holocaust. This is true. Then we expressed our alarm when the NDP signaled support for BDS in the heat of the election. In fact, that memo indicated it was open to investigating Jewish organizations for their support of Israel. NDP executives told us it was a mistake and that it's aware some of its members hold these views. We have opened a dialogue with these parties and are calling on the NDP and the Green Party to draw a red line and stop disguised anti-Semitism and adopt the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. Our work with schools is deep, and I gotta tell you, very complex. Last year at this time, outrage ensued when a local private school put on a satirical play of The Merchant of Venice. To this day, I cannot believe that students were expected to yell hallelujah in response to the actor on stage shouting anti-Semitic sentiments like burn their synagogues, take away their holy books, and burn the Jews, supposedly to mimic how Hitler brainwashed youth. A Jewish member of the school board called me to shamelessly demand that we stop talking about the issue because the school, as he said, has a 150-year-old reputation to protect. I said, oh, well that's interesting because I represent a people with a 5,780-year-old reputation to protect. And that's what we do every day at FSWC. This is why we focus primarily on education. With our team of educators and our Mobile Tolerance Training Center, the Tour for Humanity, we have visited over 750 schools and educated well over 200,000 students. In fact, on any given day, we are somewhere in Ontario fighting anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial and promoting human rights with the spirit and legacy of Simon Wiesenthal. No one is reaching as many small communities across Ontario as we are. We support Holocaust survivors across the country in an effort to tell their story to our young people. We are recording and documenting their testimony with our educational method and posting them on our specially designed website called neverforgetme.ca. Why? Because Holocaust denial is real. On a radio talk show in Vancouver recently, Max Eisen, who is here with us tonight, I can tell you he deserves a lot of applause, this man. We were actually, it was unbelievable, we were actually challenged by a caller who called into the radio show asking us to prove that the Holocaust actually happened. I told him to come down to the radio station and take a look at Max's arm where he's got a tattoo and for him to hear Max's story where he lost members of his family. And for the past decade, we have welcomed over 20,000 students to Dundas Square to hear Holocaust survivors and value our legacy for human rights. We're working with schools to address problems of anti-Semitism, even as far away as a private Vancouver school who is seeking our help to update its anti-Semitism and anti-racism curriculum. In conclusion, my friends, our hero Simon Wiesenthal told us that for evil to flourish, it only requires good people to do nothing. Well, it is wonderful to see you all here tonight, to see our community come together under one roof, united in our determination to take action, to create a world where never again will we see this kind of hatred towards our people and any people. Never again. It is our shared responsibility to carry forth the lessons of the past, the lessons taught to us by our heroes, and to fight back against anti-Semitism that remains a stain on our shared values as Jews and as Canadians. There are more than 2 million students in Ontario, And our objective is to reach as many of them as possible through our educational programs. As such, we are expanding and investing in more resources. I'm very happy to announce tonight that among those resources, we will be building another bus to take us further and deeper into the Canadian communities and help us cover more ground. With additional resources, we are reaching more schools, more educators, and shutting down more anti-Semitic incidents than ever. To tell you how significant and life-changing our annual Compassion to Action journey for police, educators, and politicians, it would take me 3 days. I think I've had enough time here on this stage. And I told you earlier here about Mayor Veer's Freedom Day proclamation. I can tell you how the chief of Medicine Hat stopped a white supremacist shooter a month after he got back. Or I can tell you that as we are planning to embark our next journey next summer, the Vancouver Chief of Police, Adam Palmer, and our own Chief of Police, Mark Saunders, agreed under their own names to send invitation letters to our next delegations, my friends, coast to coast. And that is an incredible sign in the faith that the police forces have in our organization and in our community. All this could not be accomplished without the great team of staff we have at Wiesenthal. They deserve tremendous credit for their hard work and for their dedication. Please, when you see our staff tonight, take a moment to thank them. There's more than just me. There's a team that's behind me that is doing this work every single day. And I want to particularly thank for this evening Elise Korn and Ariel Toad for their great work. All the action I outlined tonight is 100% founded by Canadians from the funds raised here and at Spirit of Hope, our annual dinner. We're planning another spectacular evening on May 25th, 2020, and our dynamic and enthusiastic co-chairs who are sitting here, Ron and Sharon Burrows, and Derek and Daryl Bergman, they're already rolling up their sleeves, and they're going to call you, I promise. We look forward to seeing you all there and supporting this great cause. Thank you all, from the bottom of my heart, from the organization, from our team, for being here, and please do enjoy this evening.